Flosstube, it's Lisa Smith, Kindred Stitcher. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch. Today is February 19th, and this is video 97 or 98. I just looked and I can't remember. So I think I forgot to number my last video. I don't know. I'm getting close to 100 though. Welcome back. And what have I done since the last time I saw you 2 weeks ago? Well, I went to town on one of my memorabilias. After I showed you, or I talked about Mira March, several people were down for that. They wanted to participate. So March will be mostly Mira March or Mira March. I do have a couple plans that I want to work on. So maybe another stitch that I want to work on in March too. But this is Lady of Mystery. And when I showed her to you last, I had like this much of her dress done. So I have really gone to town on this one. Loved stitching it. The colors are just fantastic. This fabric is just divine. And I love, Rose Heck commented, she said, wow, you got a lot of that dress done. But when I saw the pattern, I thought, oh, you got a lot still to go. And it's true. It does tend to be blocks of color, but it is interrupted by this vine that's also in her dress. So if you saw my last video, my plan is to stitch her whole dress. Then I'm going to come back and finish the vine work around her, and then she'll be done. So this really, I mean, I worked on this for a week, and I just worked pretty much exclusively on her. And I loved it. I really enjoyed working on this one. This is Lady of Mystery by Mirabilia. Well then, after I finished working on her for a week, I wanted to also work on my, what's this called? Forget-Me-Not sampler by European Reproduction Samplers. So if you just put that in your Google search engine, European Reproduction Samplers, I think it's berlinsamplers.com comes up. But this is my long stitch that is on 46 count parchment. And I finished, so I did not iron this one, but I finished the birds at the top. And I think I will stick this piece of mat board behind it because it's just easier to wrangle. I finished this motif here, this bird, and this bird. And this is all stitched with DMC. So the shading is done with thread change. You know, just lots of different thread changes, but the colors are so fantastic. I can't even tell you. I absolutely love stitching on this one. My goal is to get it done by Easter, which is, I think, like the 7th or 10th of April. Last year, I had started it early in the year, and I worked on it pretty diligently. Was hoping to get it done by Easter, but a squirrel ran by, and I was off chasing something else, and I really didn't pick it up last year. Once Easter was past, I thought, well, I should have sailed. I'm moving on to patriotic stitching. Then it was, you know, fall and Christmas, and that was it. So this is Forget-Me-Not Sampler by European Reproduction Samplers. Just love working on that one. I know it's a fan favorite too. When I post pictures on Instagram or show it on Flosstube, y'all love it. So, and as my husband and I went to the property. He's there this weekend working on it. That's the property in Oregon that we're building a shop on, and we're gonna live in the tiny house and part of the shop while my husband builds our house. This is ER 1821 by Samplers Remembered. This I got at the Attic Summer School, and I had not done much, and I did a little bit, but this is a difficult one to work on in the car. So I did work a little bit on that vine. I started with the I guess they're flowers or berries at the bottom, and I finished my vine across there. So I didn't do a lot. This trip, we took a bed down. So talk about a luxury. We took our cot and our blow-up Costco bed down and put a regular bed in there, and we moved our refrigerator to a different corner because this house is an 11 by 13 room with a kitchenette and a tiny bathroom. That's it. So the bed was so wonderful. You know, our kids are gone, so we've got spare beds in our house here, and nobody's using them. They just come when they visit, and this was the perfect time to take it down there. So that was fantastic. That said, we were running to Home Depot, bought windows, put those in. We glued insulation. It's like a thick, hard insulation. It's not like the it's not like the Pink Panther spongy kind. I don't know what you call it. It's not blow-in insulation. It's a firm insulation that's cut. You can cut with a saw. Well, it's the perfect size of an OSB board. So we were gluing those on there, and my husband put them up. That's going to be the inside of the shop. Is it's going to be covered with OSB and insulation. It'll be outer wall insulation, OSB. You guys don't care about that. Anyway, I'm over explaining. So we spent a lot of time. I was helping quite a bit last time. Then I came home, I stitched some, and I'm working in my house, and oh my gosh, my cats are going to meow. They think they should be inside right now. Yesterday, I went through one of the bedrooms, one of my son's bedrooms, cleaned out, put a couple totes worth of stuff. His childhood memories fit in about 2 totes, and the rest of it went to Goodwill. I took an entire car full of stuff to Goodwill, and I went through my closet, and I got rid of 2/3 of my clothes, because since I work from home, I have already purged my suits, and a lot of my business clothes I just gifted because either it doesn't fit or I don't need it at home. And if I do get to a point where that fits again, I'm gonna go buy new clothes. Anyway, today I need to move a bed from one bedroom to another, move my workstation, and purge 2 more bedrooms. So we are getting rid of stuff. We're getting ready for this next move, which is really not that far. It's coming along quickly. All right, so this is the last one that was calling to me. This is When Lilacs Bloomed by the Blue Flower. I think I started this 2018, maybe 2019, if that sounds right. This was maybe in her first group of releases that she had. And this says, when lilacs last in the dooryard bloomed, and the great star early drooped in the western sky, lilac and star and bird twined with the chant of my soul there in the fragrant pines. So the colors are fantastic in this design. I mean, there's purples and blues and greens. It's such a pretty palette, and sort of creams. So where I am building the house. I think I had just like a little bit of the house done in a few words. I finished the words, went to the border. I'm going to finish the house. I'm going to work this direction and finish this quadrant, this lower left quadrant. Bring the border around. The border is really a repeat, but the flowers alternate between blue and purple, I believe. Yes. Then there's less stitching on the top. There's more words, but less dense stitching. On the bottom, there's grass, and there's motifs in the grass. It sort of looks like a quilt pattern. This tree is awesome. Sort of a chandelier. I call it a chandelier tree. Interesting design. This is a fun one to stitch. And I had a huge ring, and I had more colors on here. And I'm like, did I do a conversion? I don't know. I didn't write any notes for myself. Well, the first color on the house was this antique lace. Now, this is sort of a dirty white, and it looks kind of a grayish white. So I started stitching one of the dormers because I'd already had stitched this one here. I started stitching this dormer. I'm like, that doesn't look right. It looks dingy. Sure enough, I had used white. And so, lesson to myself, I need to write notes when I'm going to do a conversion. There were some extra threads I think I'd thrown in there in case I needed them. And I didn't. So I just put them in my craft room. So those are the things that I worked on since the last time we chatted. I have been stitching. And what else is going on? I did buy a few things, but not a lot. I bought Threads of Gold, Carolyn Brayton, and it's a tiny little picture. I'm going to stick it up here so you can see it, but it has roses on here. And So this is one of my favorite things to do. I like to go onto eBay and just put samplers in there, or samplers needlework, and you get all kinds of old, vintage, or current cross stitch patterns. Some of them aren't samplers. You just have to scroll through that. But you find some interesting old things, older patterns that you didn't know existed, or even companies. I'm going to show a few of those when I get down with haul here. This one McKenna just released. This is the Ann Perry sampler, and I think Rachel from Needle and Flax already has started this. This is a gorgeous sampler. That is gorgeous. So I bought that. I was at a quilt store. Where was this? Oh, I was at Craft Warehouse in Salem, Oregon. One of my favorite regional craft stores. It's a big box store, but it's more of a Pacific Northwest chain. So I bought some fabric, and I bought some companion fabric, and I'm gonna probably make a quilt with this. I haven't decided. I bought a few yards. Also saw this Lisa Von Jean quilt book. It's interesting that this is just paper. Like, she didn't put a cover on it, which I thought was, it's a cardstock, but I love every single pattern in here. It's all red and white. This is a fantastic book. Definitely worth buying. I bought some chipboard for a project that I have been wanting to work on, and some scrapbook paper. I do love paper crafts for my project that I have in mind. So that's it for haul. That's it. No more. And this is going to be like a record video. I do want to mention that Elizabeth Day, Amy Witt, I took her down, and now I have Elizabeth Day instead up here. I need to pull all my antique samplers together, and they're going to be stored at my sister's house while we're building our house, so that they're in a climate-controlled environment. I'll insert a picture of Elizabeth here. You can see a reflection. It's not great because this is not anti-glare glass, but I'll take a picture and insert it here. Isn't she pretty? One of my favorite samplers for sure. This is just a reminder that this was a giveaway from 2 videos ago, and this one too. And when I announced the winners on the last video, I put them on the bottom, but I didn't say their name out loud, and I haven't heard from either of them, and I forgot to add my email address to the description box. So this one was Allison Stitches, the Shepherd's Bush pattern, the kit. I stitched it, so there's no supplies other than the pattern. And then Phyllis Dawson was the winner of the heart kit. So please reach out to me. I will put my email address in. If I don't hear from you by my next video, I'm going to redraw. And then the winner of the last video with the vintage tulip designs, there's 12 of these, is Jeannie Monroe. So Jeannie, just make sure that you send me an email with your address, and I'll get those in the mail to you. This video, since I'm in the purge and organize, get myself ready to move mode, I have 3 bags that I have used. These are ones that I made for myself. I have too many project bags right now. So because I'm reducing my whips, I don't need all of these. So this one is, if you'll just put rose on this one. This is I can't remember the name of the line of fabric, but it's a gorgeous bag. I really like this one. Put flower, if you want that one, in your comment below. And then there's this one. It's kind of a fractal bird, and it has like a pretty red pattern on the inside. If you'd like this one, please put bird in your comment below. And then I love this one. This is a Tilda fabric. Not Tilda, this is a Tula Pink fabric. Definitely not the same. And this one has a great charm, kind of a big gem. Love it. If you like this one, put, her fabric is always funky, so put funky if you want this one. So I will be interested to see what you come up with between funky, bird, and roses. You guys always amaze me though. So those are for next time. So with the rest of our time, I pulled some patterns because like I said, I like to just surf through eBay for things that you don't normally see. Or maybe you do see and you don't have. Maybe there's some of these, you've probably seen some of these before. I didn't get them all from eBay, but I did get some. So I'm going to share them with you. The first one is Jane Ballard. This one I bought from a friend in Canada who has had a store and a quilting business. Now, McKenna from 1884 has the rights to produce this. I think she has it on her website. So this one is Jane Ballard, and I love this girl. So this one is stitched, I believe it's stitched, and it's in the bathroom of the apartment upstairs in Country Sampler. That's the first time I saw that one. I think this was, yeah, Worcester Art Museum is the one who originally produced it, and I think McKenna's working with them. And so these all kind of have a spring flair to them also. The next one is the sampler. I love this pattern. Love it, love it, love it. There are a ton of specialty stitches in it. She's from Canada, and I bought this directly from her. Yes, I'm looking forward to starting that one. Then this is Annie B's Folk Art. She has some gorgeous market patterns that have come out. This is the Haynes Sampler. Isn't that pretty? Wouldn't it be pretty on like a buttery color linen? Very, very pretty. I'm in the pink red mode, which I always am really. Rachel Long by Needle Made Designs. Now, isn't that border? It's pretty unique. Fantastic. Religion should hold our hearts, should our hearts engage while in our youthful bloom, 'twill fit us for declining age and for the silent tomb. There's a happy saying. This is the Frances Eden Sampler. I bought this from the Attic. It was a reprint. I think they've reprinted it a couple times. I don't know if they have them still available. You would have to find out. Email them and ask them. And all of these, I look at them like, man, I really want to start this. I love this one. This is one that I bought off of eBay, just a sampler search. Designs from Pamela on Peace. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. And it's unique because it has that, it's blue, and it has that water, the river going through it. And it's substantial. And it has a guy on there fishing. That's a cool sampler. The Carnation Sampler by Fingerwork. And this is Elizabeth Toledo, who is Dames of the Needle. I think that's her business. She does mostly finishes. I bought this one through Country Sampler. Did I buy this one through Country Sampler? I know I bought one. I might have bought this one through eBay, actually. Isn't that pretty? I like the border on this one, and I like that it's sort of square. I don't know if it's entirely square. What is the stitch count on this? Oh, it's the size stitched is 19 by 20. So it's not quite square, but it's square-ish, if you will. Mary Ann Frayne, 1796. This is Sassafras Samplers. It is Kim Young from, oh, you know what I'm talking about. She's on the East Coast. What is her store? I know that she's been trying to get her business moved. Sassy Jack's Stitchery. I was like, I know the name. Isn't that pretty with the hearts? I don't know if I've seen this one stitched. I'm sure people have shown it, and I just haven't seen it. So here's an oldie but a goodie. Permanent Copenhagen. And this one is called, oh, I guess they don't have it. They don't have it numbered. I bought this one a long time ago. I think I was in college when I bought this. It looks like Marjolaine Bastain. Looks like hers, but it doesn't say. It just says Permanent Copenhagen. But I love gardening. I love nature. And this one just ticks all the boxes for me. These birdhouses are pretty phenomenal. This would be a fantastic drum, like 3 drums sitting on top of each other. The Cricket Collection, Vintage Eggs. Isn't that fantastic? So if you want something that's not bunnies, there's a good, and you want to do an egg finish, there's a great one. Like a Cherry Blossom, Stitches Through the Years. She is on Etsy. This I have seen finished, and it is so pretty. Some people have done it on a little bit darker linen, and those flowers, the border just pops. Theron Traditions. So I wish she has some class samplers. I know that Brenda from Handwork Maniac has done or is stitching some of her class samplers. And I mean, designers don't give classes in the Pacific Northwest in general. Just saying. So it'd have to be an online class. I believe I got this one off of eBay. And this is called the New England Schoolgirl Sampler. Isn't this adorable? You know, I would do this on a lighter linen and maybe put some over-dyed threads on here, because if I were to guess, this is probably stitched in DMC. It doesn't really look variegated at all. But it has a shepherdess on the hill behind the house, which I love. And another Theron Traditions. Here's a smaller one. This is Virtuous Sampler, Friendship Sampler. I know you guys are online. Oh, I gotta buy that one. I do that too. This is on my short list. This is on my sooner rather than later list. Although I will say this, there are some market releases. Kathleen Littleton has a sampler that knocks my socks off. It has the grass with animals, a house, the bouquet on top. It is so beautiful. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I just, for sure, that's going to go on my immediate stitch list this year. But this is on my short list. This is a Wishing Tree Sampler by the City Stitcher. I believe I bought this one off of eBay. I'm not sure if this one is available or if she's producing them. Somebody warned me that this section of the house is offset by 1 stitch, which thank you for the heads up on that. I think it's interesting because then what happens is the mortar doesn't line up between them, so it differentiates that there's a second part of the house there. It's an interesting idea. Love the alphabet on there. Elizabeth Young by Samplers Revisited. The 12 Acres of Grass. But I love the bouquets on here. Isn't that gorgeous? Samplers Revisited. Gorgeous. This one is, this is by Summer House Stitchworks. I have stitched this one. It's still on a piece of fabric that I'm stitching something else on the other side. I need to get it framed probably. I don't think I'll make a pillow. I think I'll frame it. But I really like this. And I think I have some fabric that will work for this. And I love the shaker box. I need to find, I think it's a elm, what do they call that? Elmhurst. Lone Elm Lane. Lone Elm Lane box. I love this one. Sarah Stewart by the Scarlet Letter. Now, look at that big pink house. Isn't that gorgeous? Now here's the deal. The older her patterns, do you think this might be a problem to stitch? It's going to be a nightmare to stitch. So I think and it's all hand-drawn, but I think she has reproduced some of her patterns digitally. So I'm going to look and see if this is available as a reprinted pattern before I get on the struggle bus with that one. Of Female Worth, Susan Mixed Reproduction Sampler. I love a honeysuckle border. And that one is fantastic. I can't read it. The verse reads, friendship, more sweet are the words of a friend and pure are the joys they impart. When truth, love, and confidence blend with virtue enthroned in the heart. Though nature exhausts her supply, she has no other sample of bliss, so nearly allied to the sky, so pure and so constant as this. Interesting. So this is Of Female Worth, and I wonder if McKenna, I know she has reproduced some of these. I don't know if she's reproduced this one. I don't know. You could ask her. Little House Needleworks, the Elizabeth Hancock sampler. My sister stitched this one. She stitched it on vintage Tundra, and it is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Vintage Tundra to me is, that's Lakeside. It looks sometimes blue, sometimes green, sometimes gray. Kind of depends on the light. I stitched the English, is it the English Garden Sampler? By Kim Nugent from Samplers Not Forgotten. Is all stitched on Tundra. I love stitching it on Tundra. John Foster, Historic Stitches, 1885 sampler. I think McKenna also has this one. I guess this is a commercial for 1884 stitchery today. She's done a good job of finding some of these. This was an eBay. No, actually my friend Deborah from Canopied Stitches on Instagram, she was stitching this. And then I was like, oh, I really want to stitch that. And I was able to find it on eBay eventually. The Marking Sampler, Elizabeth Haxton, 1866, a Scottish sampler. Look at how pretty that is. And what I like about this is there's multiple colors. It's not just red and green. You do see red and green on here, but there are other colors introduced throughout the alphabet. So I love that. The Beatitudes by Little House Needleworks. Again, I love it. Look at the people. Wouldn't that be a cute little just ornament? Or you can make this and do a band if you didn't want to do all the text. That would be adorable. Just a horizontal band sampler. I might do that. Huh. What am I talking? I'm going to be moving soon. What am I doing? I'm dreaming is what I am. West Wind Cross Stitch Designs. This is, she has some Jane Austen patterns. Here is one. This is called Good Apple Pies Sampler. Good Apple Pies are, oh, wait a minute. That's not it. She has a freebie that she put in the back. I'm like, this is not Good Apple Pies. This is, it is a truth universally accepted that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in need of a wife. This is by Jane Austen from Pride and Prejudice. Keziah Campbell, Needle Made Designs. This is not a reproduction. This is made up from her imagination. And I love this one. Love it, love it, love it. This is another Dames of the Needle, Elizabeth Toledo. It's called Elizabeth Savay, 1841 sampler. I'm not sure if I said that right, but A for effort, right? This is such a pretty, dainty sampler. It is, wow. This, she stitched it, it's 27 by 22 inches. Doesn't say the thread count. Oh, 32. Vintage Meadow Rue by Lakeside. You know, it's hard to capture the linen color. Give grace to our designers. It's hard to do that. This is one that a bunch of us, when we were at Stitch Shenanigans, bought, and we were going to stitch it together and nothing happened. But it's the Biedermeier sampler. And I think some people bought silks. They did a silk conversion and shared some of the silks, but it's in my pile. I love, this is Samplers Remembered, the Village Square sampler. What I love about this is that central motif that is all one big huge bouquet with some village around it. This picture isn't very good, so I apologize. You probably couldn't see it all that well. Samplers Remembered, Linda Danielson. I imagine this is still available if you're interested in this one. It's very pretty. And there's a lot of text, a lot of different sayings on there. Vintage, Victorian Rose Needle Arts. This is Tinka. It's her pattern. It's a reproduction. Christina Jr., 1834. It's pretty little spots of blue in there, isn't there? Now, there's lots of These are all general arts. So just know that if you're going to stitch this one, it might take a bit to get your threads together. You don't see that one every day. Hannah Lancaster. I bought this one, I think before McKenna had bought the rights to reproduce it. So that is originally Worcester Art Museum. This one I have plans to change colors on it. It was clearly reproduced from the front because it's all pretty much beige and green. Although I have to pull it out and see what other colors there might be on there. But I would completely change the colors on that one. This one. Kathleen Littleton, Cross Stitch Antiques. This one is Mary Green, Ashton School, 1846. How beautiful is that? And the linen is such a rich honey color. The red really looks beautiful next to that fabric. Now to change it up completely, here's Tiny Modernist, Chalkboard Easter Greetings. What? How stinking cute is that? I love this guy. I love spring. And the eggs hanging from the bow. Cute. Luminous Fiber Arts, Misty Purcell. Friendship Series, BFF Bunnies. How cute is that? I'm down to 3 what I would call smalls in my whip. In my whips that I have. And so now I have, when I want to stitch a small, which is usually going to be on the road, I'm going to pull little kits that I've had from clubs because everything is together. But then I'm going to introduce some of these that I don't have kitted up yet and see if I can work on some of those. Rose Quaker by Stick von Weinberg. Sticken von Weinberg. My sister stitched this one. She brought my pattern and it is so gorgeous. She got a fancy ribbon at the state fair. So beautiful. The Work Basket, 4-Way House. This is fun. Definitely spring colors on that one. 4-Way House. Okay, so every once in a while, there's a very different pattern that I'll buy because it's just something completely like nothing else I stitched. This kind of reminds me of Nora Corbett. This is by Lynn Nicoletti. It's called Thumbelina, the Needlework Fairy. Isn't that awesome? I love this. I could see this being like, you know, stitching this and putting it on a box or something that holds your needlework tools would be really cute. Priscilla's Hands-On Design. This is the Queen Bee Flower Farm. And I have something that I do want to stitch this and mount it on, I don't know, it's a 2-piece thing that I got at Craft Warehouse. Even though this is not, I think this is, well, this is Crosswing Collection. What am I saying? Redbirds and Raspberries. I thought cardinals were more of a winter, I don't know. We don't have cardinals here, so I believe Amy Loves Toads stitched this, but I just love the colors on this. There's that. Another West Wind Cross Stitch Designs. A True Friend is a Found Treasure. I'm not sure which Jane Austen book that came from, but isn't that adorable? Elizabeth Bracken, 1832 Samplers. This is by Historic Stitches. All flowers. Now, it's hard to say. The colors definitely look faded to me. I would probably pick some different colors. I might stitch that someday. Also, Anne Duncan by Samplers and Stutch. This, what I like is that this has a similar structure of a middle bouquet as this one. But they're not identical. They're definitely different. What does this one say? Adam alone in paradise did grieve, and thought Eden a desert without Eve, until God, pitying his lonesome state, crowned all his wishes with a lovely mate. What reason then has man to slight or something? Who could not live in paradise without her? I think you could just, I might not even stitch all those letters. I would just drop the border down and stitch this bottom section. I mean, I'm to the point where I'm going to run out of wall space in my imaginary house. Sheep may safely graze by Alice Smith by Victoria Rose Needle Arts. Gorgeous. I believe Ellen Reed stitched this one, and it's huge. She does amazing things. Crosswing Collection. This is the first chipping sparrow biscornu nest. I think there are 3 or 4 of these. And I do believe Amy Loves Toads has stitched them all. She was posting them on Instagram, I think. Here's an odd one. The Lady in Thread Spring in a Colonial Garden. eBay. What I love the composition of this. I don't love the threads. I would totally change the thread colors. That would be kind of fun as a drum too. Maybe leave off the alphabet on the top and just stitch it straight across. I don't know. And then Lucy Calcutt, 1825 and 1826. These are both phenomenal charts. This one has a bigger house. This one has more bouquets. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And that is by Just Stitching Along. That's Krista Kramer's patterns, I believe. Almost done here. I know if you love samplers, you're digging this, right? The Wisdom Sampler, this is Vermilion Stitchery. This was an eBay. She's passed on. And then Guarnieri, I don't know, Guarnieri, Guarnieri Sampler by Forget Me Nots and Stitches. Again, one-off brand, no longer in business, I'm sure. But I just want to show you some things. If you're willing to kind of dig around, the things you can find. And will I stitch them all? No. Highly unlikely. Will I still look through them from time to time? Yes. All the time. Because, that's part of our world that we live in. We are collectors. Some of us are anyway. Okay, so I will probably see you in 3 weeks. I've got some things coming up, some trips, and it's going to be really hectic. So 3 or 4 weeks probably before I have another video. Take care. Love you guys. Enjoy all the things. Excited for Nashville. All of the things that are coming out. Stacey Nash. Holy cow. She burst onto the scene this year. Wowza. Lots of great things. So have a good couple weeks and we'll see you soon. Take care.